what's today? It's the 24th of November, 2022. It is the bottom of the hour of 11. Neil, how you doing, brother?
Well, I'm pretty good actually. We've been pounded with a bit of rain here the last sort of 36 hours, but the sun's just come out, and so with the sun comes positivity and lift of energy and all sorts of things. But when you talk about the 24th,
Yes.
in America it's still the 23rd, so we're actually coming from the future. And right now
as
there's a
Kiwis have
lot of
always been
stuff
ahead of the
going on
curve
out
in
there
that
about
respect.
going back to the future.
Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to find the link to reshare it here on Facebook, guys. So bear with me for a second. That'll do. That one right there. That'll do. We're live. Ha ha. Include original post. We're live. So if you're just joining us, you'll probably see that. If you're watching it later, you'll see that I just posted it on Facebook. So hopefully everybody's good. Hopefully let us know in the comments about our comms, about our sound levels. Hopefully we're right this week. Hopefully we don't have that echo. I'm pretty sure I found out what was going on there for Stilo. We've got a bumper show lined up, haven't we? What are we going to talk about today, Neil?
Bumping things. That's what we do. We bring it out, we bump it around, and we move it on.
Bumping things in the night. That's a different show again. In fact, that's probably got a different rating, that show as well. So guys, the title of what we're talking about today, we've said that we're going to talk about NESARA, GESARA, and of course the golden opportunity that comes off the back of that, and that is a play on words. Got a little bit of stuff to show you that is kind of exciting what's going on actually. So yeah.
Well, I mean, just to sort of bring that into perspective, or a little bit of background story in it, they've been trying to bring this blimmin' to the surface for years, and all these massive events sort of happen and get distracted away from it. And one of the events that people will remember.
Almost as if that happened on purpose.
Well, yeah, if you kind of if you think about what GESARA is, and we've got a document that we can go through the basics of what that is.
Sorry.
Hey, wow.
What a terrible dad joke.
What's that? Well, but maybe that's not a coincidence.
No, there's no such thing as coincidence. I don't believe in it at all.
Right. But everybody will remember the last time they diverted us away from it. They'll know exactly where they were on that day, which was the 9/11.
Yep, and we've spoken about it before. I know exactly where I was. I woke up in Owakuni, and I had a shower, and I come out of the shower, and I'd turn the TV on or the news or the radio or something on before I got in the shower. I jumped out of the shower, and it was the radio. Jumped out of the shower, I was like, what the? And of course, yeah. And then all day going off the chairlift at Turo, getting off the chairlift, they had updates. They had a massive whiteboard with all these updates of things that were going on. So that's where I was.
Oh, it was crazy. It just took over people's lives for as long as they had it live on the TV. Everybody was glued to it. I know exactly where I was.
And still people believe it now.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we asked the question, what's really going on here? That doesn't make sense.
No, absolutely.
And quickly sort of became part of the conspiracy group.
It's funny you say that, and what I'm about to say is, I went to Pennsylvania where Flight 94 went in, and they've got a memorial there, and they've got a museum there. You can walk through the museum, and I don't know how much money they wasted on it, but millions and millions and millions, I'm sure. And you can walk through it, and there's all these charred things that they've found, and then there's a perfect. And it brought me up because of something that happened in New York that day. There's a perfect A4, like it's just a little bit singed on the edges of the plan for the day. Literally, it's in a frame behind glass. And my brother-in-law who went there, and my brother-in-law is an ex-military man as well, and he doesn't buy into a lot of what I believe, but that's all right. But I said to him, I was like, man, they must think we're hella stupid to believe that came from where they haven't even got any wreckage because it disintegrated. And he goes, yep, I tend to agree with you there, mate. It's like, Because of course, in New York they found those passports, right? Perfectly intact passports. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
but they put everything in front of us in plain sight, and plain sight. even that was a even that was a joke.
Excuse the pun.
There was no planes in sight. Yeah,
No,
but
only
anyway,
holograms.
that this is all just a building. Yeah, this is all just, well, yeah. Talk about holograms.
Yeah.
Oh, I was reading that the moon's potentially a hologram. That's another story for another time.
That's definitely another
Jesus.
show. We could talk about the firmament and
Yeah.
and the old map of the Earth and how that all
Oh,
looks. So Deborah's just called you a bad dad, Neil. Anyway, so getting back to our topic here, we're going to be talking obviously about GESARA and what started originally just as NESARA and has become GESARA. So the N stands for national, obviously G stands for global. And as Neil rightly said, it was something that was actually signed into law in October of 2000. I was going to say of 2000. October. It's easier to say 2000, right? It was
yeah.
originally signed into law in October of 2000. It
Mm,
was meant to come in effect, as we mentioned last week, on the 9th of September 2001. And we all know what
mm.
happened that day. Now, Neil, you shared a great document before. Actually, I might just chuck this in if you guys aren't aware of this, and I'm not affiliated with this at all. In fact, I'm I'm banned from their group because I ask too many questions. they don't like to be challenged about things, but their resources they've put together are freaking fantastic. So if you go to QSI Resources, oops, I spelled it wrong. There's an S on the end of that. QSIresources.com. You'll be able to have a look in everything that we're talking about. But there's a really, really good explanation in there about NESARA, isn't there?
Yeah.
And about where we are.
I should be able to
NESARA, the
grab
Great
that.
Reset, the great. When I say the Great Reset, I'm not talking about the World Economic Forum one because that's just it's never going to happen. They'd love everyone to believe that it is, and they'd like to create that fear. And the reason just going to quantify that, guys, the reason why they do that, the reason why they create that fear and put that fear porn out through the news, is simply to lower people's vibration. People in low fear or in a low vibration, people who are reacting to fear, who are fearful of a situation or are stressed about something, lower their vibration, and lower vibrating frequencies or lower vibrating people don't tend to awaken or open or are receptive to new life-changing information. So that's just food for thought there. I'm going to copy
Well,
that and I'm
just
going to put that in there. Oh, hold on.
so
Because
did
I
you
can't
see
do
what
that.
I just put in?
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
can't. Hold on. There's another way I can do it.
I'm
Sorry,
just
guys.
trying to put the
I've
link
got
in.
my hotkeys set up in such a way that my Command C opens up another screen. So I've just had to do it a different way. There you go. There's the right one there that you guys go and check out. So coming back to the QFS, GESARA, it stands for. Let me. I want to make sure I read this verbatim so I get it right, because I'll probably make something up if I don't. Global.
What one are you reading? I can't see what you're reading.
I haven't got it there. It's on another website that I've got. It's
Oh,
global economic security and something. Jeez, that sounds stupid.
come on. You're butchering it already. Come
Tell me
on.
about it.
No
I'm
wonder
actually.
they can't get it out. Us plebs can't even pronounce it.
Hey, hey, Global
So,
Economic Security and Reformation Act. That's what GESARA stands for. So obviously at NESARA it was the national. So what that did is actually highlighted all the crimes and things that the cabal had done over the years. And
mm,
believe it or not, the three executive orders that we're going to go over and cover at a different rate, a different time, that actually tie in perfectly to GESARA. And that's why a lot of people in the movement started calling it Trump-SARA. I say it with an E, but it's not. It's just GESARA, not GESARA. They started calling it Trump-SARA because his executive orders actually led the way for this to be actioned and happen. Now we've spoken at length. Or we could probably go on further and further. We've spoken at length the last couple of weeks about Trump and what we think he's here for. But more importantly, Neil, do you want to have a bit of explanation of what GESARA is. Do you want to share it with it? You want to share your screen and go through what we were going through before, or just
It's
actually?
probably better to share it.
Okay, I've got this one here. Let me see if I can.
But
Can you see that, Neil?
yeah,
Okay, so for those who don't understand NESARA or GESARA, here's the basic gist of it. Oop, let's bring that in the right place. Forgives credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. Now, what you guys need to understand here, is that the banking system, the usury system, is well, it's illegal. If you or I did exactly what the Federal Reserve does, or any of the central banks, the fractional reserve lending, it's called if we did it, it would be called counterfeiting. So we've got to remember that. I just got to make sure that I get the right screen back up in here. Actually, before I go back into that, we've already started to see some of this happen. We've already had reports of people having their debt cancelled, and if you look at different countries, one of which that I'm gonna talk about soon, and that's Iraq. But if you look at different countries, a lot of them have already done this. A lot of them have already gone through this process. It just hasn't hit mainstream. So this is actually crypto. This is poor advice. Target 3. I'm not. Can you clarify your question? So guys, this is something that's already started happening, and it's what we say. There's 209 countries that have already signed on to this, so it's happening. It's just the deep state don't like it happening, so they're continuing to put out their fear. I mean, what Biden just asked again this week for another $37 billion worth. I think it was $37 billion worth of aid to go to the Ukraine. Are we serious?
I think that's just part of the awakening. It's like, that's the population of Americans' hard-earned tax dollar going to support a nation that's a nation. It's not really a nation. There's people in there that are normal. There's a lot of them that aren't,
This is
and
true.
it's the ones that aren't
But
that
now
it's
they need
going
to
to.
figure out a new way to get it back into the States because FTX crashed. Sorry.
Yeah.
It abolishes income tax. Now, income tax is theft anyway, and it is 100% voluntary. And I know there's a lot of people that will argue with me on that and go, "Oh, you just try and not pay your tax and see what happens." Well, yeah, if you know the ins and outs, it's 100% voluntary. Believe me. It abolishes the IRS. Now, the IRS and of course, we're talking about stuff in the US here, but it does have the cascade effect. Okay, because pretty much any system that the cabal have had something to do with, it's a mirror of what they've done. Right, they've set it up, and it all comes out of the City of London, which is their financial arm. We spoke about the City of London a couple of weeks ago. Not London City, as I said, it's City of London. So it abolishes the IRS. Now, the IRS was set up; it was created to strip us of our wealth, so that we remained as debt slaves. uh, the perfect slave, the
Well,
ones that don't know
yeah.
they're actually slaves.
Well, it goes right back to our birth certificate. That's how far back that goes.
Yep. And that's a whole nother show in and of itself.
That's a whole nother show. It's like crazy.
But it creates a flat, non-essential, new items only sales tax for revenue for the government, and that's fine. That means if you want to buy something new, if you want to have the fine things in life, if you want to buy a new car, cool, you pay a new tax on it. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't actually have a problem with that. I don't have a problem giving something to the government as long as it's going for that purpose. But we
Yeah.
know, particularly in the US, we know that the tax revenue they generate isn't enough to cover their national debt. So it's not even going to any of their municipalities or anything like that. That's why they've got the sales tax on everything. That's why, here in New Zealand, Australia, we got GST. In the UK, they got VAT, right? So I think the new item sales tax is actually a pretty good thing right there. Increased benefits to senior citizens. Now, that's a good thing too, right? They've worked hard. They've been given all their lives. Returns to constitutional law. Obviously, that's the US. There's a whole heap of stuff to come out of the back of that as well, which does have a knock-on effect to us. And under those executive orders that we've sort of brushed on a little bit, and I said about it last week. New Zealand, Australia, they're on the stock exchange in the US. They're no longer on the stock exchange. They're now held by the Republic. So we actually now belong to the Republic, or the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America, meaning we actually essentially come under them. Establishes new presidential and congressional elections. Now, this is not just presidential and congressional in the US. This is everywhere, and that's why I said last week I believe that we'll have. I think I went live the other day. I did go live the other day on Saturday. It was after our last show. I believe we'll have elections inside the first 4 months of 2023, and this is the reason why. Yeah, fingers crossed. This is the reason why. Actually, I wonder if I could show you that. I'll come back to that. I'm going to show you a little bit of a video that a friend sent me from the sunny coast in a minute. It's kind of exciting. So, those things are coming up, I believe. Monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities and special interest groups. Then we come further down here, creates new US Treasury currency, rainbow currency. Now, if you have been paying attention, Australia, I can't speak for New Zealand, but Australia mentioned a new rainbow currency last year. They even showed images of the notes. Interesting, right? Because they're using the same terminology. Eliminates Federal Reserve System. That's that fractional reserve banking, which is Henry Ford said it like this. He said, if the American people understood how the banking system worked, there would be revolution by morning. Because he knew himself it was fraudulent. It's ridiculous. Creates new banking system in alignment with constitutional law. Now that has a cascade effect. Eliminates the Federal Reserve, i.e. the central banking cartel. Restores financial privacy. Giddy up. So, guys, this is something else to consider. There's a lot of talk at the moment about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Now, there's two trains of thought with it. One of which is that it ends privacy. And it means that the government can control what you spend, right? And that if you don't spend it in the right places, then they'll block your account. Yes, that is a possibility. They're programmable, so yes, that could happen. But it actually gives you private. All they're doing is making sure you're not using it for fraudulent transactions. Now, that's part of the quantum financial system, right? So when we talk about quantum, we talk about consciousness. We talk about all the things out there in the ether. Now, whether we agree with it, understand it, believe it, doesn't actually matter. The quantum system is an off-planet system. So we're led to believe. So what does that mean? It means that we're starting to talk about a 5D. Oh, I had an idea for an awesome book title this morning. I'll share that with you another time. But we're starting to move into that 5D realm. Now, I wrote about years ago. I had this amazing experience, and I blogged about it. You won't be able to read it because my blog's down, but I might try and bring it back to my new site. But I had this experience that I blogged about, and it was literally, it wasn't an out-of-body experience, but as I went to bed one night, I can remember it vividly. We're in Lillian Crescent. It was the house that Harlan first started to go into school at. And as I went to bed, as I quite often do, I just sort of do a little bit of a meditation. And I was literally doing that as I was in my alphas, going to sleep, and bang. All of a sudden, there was just this brilliant white light. It was amazing. And I couldn't describe what I saw to Sarah. And it's because the language of spirit isn't spoken. It's felt. And I've just got goosebumps explaining it to you now. And I've got tears in my eyes thinking about it because it's literally that. So that's where we're going. That's what this quantum financial system is. So it can read intention. That's where it's man, I listen to myself and I think, man, you sound like a nut. And yeah, I do. And yeah, we all do. But that's where we're going, believe it or not. It's crazy. Sorry, you want to add to that, Neil?
Well, probably just taking a step back on the tax side of things, because it's like, I've kind of been aware of taxes and probably been anti that, probably the hardest part that I've been down that rabbit hole with the
your
tax
life.
side of things. But I was talking to my mother the other day on a sort of weekly catch up. She's probably on the call today. Hi, Mum, if you're listening. But when she was working and working for us, she was a single mother looking after my brother, myself, and my sister. But she'd done the worked it out that for every dollar that she earned, she was paying 50% of that in taxes. She said that just wasn't right then. Just like it's bullshit,
Absolutely. It's
So
theft.
hats off to your mum being awake to that. I mean, but having to try to actually be able to survive as long as you have done in that whole system, that's where we're struggling to survive. So if you look at what this GESARA and what we're talking about, initially NESARA, but GESARA for the whole world. And be mindful, there are two words, there's two GESARAs out there, their one and the correct one, or the one that we want. But it's like, this is what the big hassle or tussle is over.
Oh, yeah.
When that is announced, is the day we get our freedoms back, the day we're finally living in a free world. And so if you can imagine the journey to get to that point, we can't live in a free world while there's still the evil out there. We can't even have them getting a snippet of any of this because they'll eventually work their way back in. Might not be in our lifetime, but it could be in 5 or 6 generations time down the road. So that's why they have to make sure they get it right
Yep.
and completely eradicate the evil so that they can bring GESARA in and give everybody what the type of life that we're meant to be living.
100%.
So
And that's why it's taking as long as it's taking, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like how long is a piece of string?
That's
How long is this bloody evil? I wish I could measure it. We kind of can. I think, well, they can certainly with the technology that they've now got access to. They've got all of it. It's just a
Yeah.
matter. There's that many of them. You can't round them all up in 5 minutes.
No, no, that's right. And that's, I read something the other day. They were talking about a 16-year plan. The cabal had a 16-year plan to take this down and have us for the Great Reset and living under absolute oppression everywhere in the world. They had a 16-year plan. It started with Obama. Now there's a there's a fella by the name of Trump that absolutely screwed that up in 2016 because they didn't think that Hillary would lose, and she was the second part of that 16-year plan. So, I remember saying, somebody told me I was being a little bit dramatic or melodramatic about it, and I said, man, I hope for the sake of all mankind that Trump wins this election, because if Hillary Clinton gets in, we are all screwed. I said it verbatim. And they went, oh, you really think it'll be that bad? And I was like, yeah. And look, the evidence that's coming out now tells me I was 100% over the target in that. Just
Yeah,
scary to think.
yeah. The sad part with all of that though is that most people are blinded by what's really going on. And
It's because they're plugged into the mainstream news and they think that that's real news. It's real journalism. It's not.
mm,
And that's
well,
so blindingly obvious now.
although in saying that, I think there's cracks in that whole system, and there's some correct reporting starting to come
Oh,
to the
they
surface.
have to be because they've been threatened.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
just on that note on reporting, in Australia, just recently, there's been two of the main people stepped down from the project, which is prime time, right? Which is, fuck, it's so left, it's not funny. But two people, one actually last week said, yep, I'm out. And this week, the second one announced that they would be leaving, they would be stepping down. Now, if you do a bit of research on those people, you'll find they have connection to the deep state, which is so it's happening. They're going. I said last week there, a couple of hundred CEOs. I was corrected in that live stream that you and I watched with SG Anon and Derek Johnson. Hey,
yeah.
1,800 CEOs stepped down over the
Mm,
last 18 months. That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
it's huge.
Sorry.
Yeah. So carry on. You carry on with this.
I keep
This is important.
interrupting
Yeah,
ourselves. So, retrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. Now, if you don't know, Trump actually appointed three new judges, Supreme Court judges, while he was in there, and they've already been trained. So watch that space because there's going to be some stuff come out of that. Initiates the first phase of the worldwide prosperity distribution of vast wealth, which has been accumulating for many decades. Now, I want to talk about that because I want to talk about the gold. Now,
mm,
early in 2020, no, not early in 2020. It was about mid to halfway through 2020. There was I don't know if you remember in the media actually reported 30,000 US troops being on the ground in Italy. Now, they said they were there for an exercise and whatever, yada, yada, yada. They were there to take down the satanic part of the cabal. And they raided the Vatican. The Vatican. Can you
Boy,
speak very well, Andrew?
when you said you were back, man, you're trying to get it all out too quickly.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
like,
know.
woof. It's like,
my
come
mouth
on
can't
now.
keep up with my head. So they raided the Vatican, and they actually brought back a shitload of gold. I think it was 50 C-130 flights of gold they brought back. Or was it 600? It was one of those two. 600 sounds better. Sounds more right. So they've had this gold for a long
There's a
time.
lot more.
What did we read the other day that said, and look, take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, and remember, everything we say on here is our opinion. But I read a document the other day that suggested that it was 15, then with 184 zeros behind it. I don't even, what the hell is that? Your billion's got 12 zeros behind it. A trillion's got 16 zeros behind it.
Quadrillion.
What? So it's kind of mind blowing. It could be all full of shit too, but hey, it sounds good. Releases enormous amounts of sums for humanitarian projects. It's going to be up to those people, and it turns out that I may well be moving back home because that's exactly where my trust's going to be established. When I say home, back to New Zealand, and Sarah would be the same. But it still means to be able to travel. But humanitarian projects, we're going to be able to build. It's going to be up to us, the people that are awake, the people that are not in shock, because there's going to be a lot of people that are in shock. It's going to be up to us to rebuild humanity. And we're going to be able to rebuild it with the things that we need and can use. And Neil actually asked me a question last week, didn't you? You said...
No, it was this week.
Or was it this week? It might have been on Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, man, so much happened this week. It's been so good.
Yeah.
Monday, what would you do? What's your first project? And I said, well, first and foremost, I'm going to look after my family, make sure that they're looked after. And there's nothing wrong with that, guys. And you should be thinking about the same thing. Because I know that there's so much blessings coming to us all that we'll be able to do that. 650. Thank you, Paul Carger. There you go. 650. I had the two separate. Yeah. That's the planes. That's the C-17s. Now, C-17 is a freaking huge plane. Trust me, I've loaded them. So he asked me what I was going to do. The first thing I said, well, probably I wanted to start a school for people, for how they learn, for their modalities of how they learn. Now, there are schools out there. So, and as Neil said, well, they're going to redo the whole education system. So, well, that's cool. I'll donate to that. But one of the things that's really big for Sarah and I is a domestic abuse shelter and a way back for people to be able to get out of that. Now, we can go one step further down that, because something else that I said to Neil is that we want to open a healing centre. A healing centre is all-encompassing. It'll have podcast room. It'll have sound healing. It'll have med beds. That's my intention. But I actually just thought about that. There's another side of that. We can help heal those people, not just the victims of domestic abuse, but the abusers. Because why do they commit those atrocities? It's because they are broken too. They need healing as well. So we can't forget that. So it really just came to me just now. That's far out. Yeah.
There's, as you kind of go into this and we accept that GESARA's going to happen, we just can't put a date on it. That's kind of like the big question mark on the end of everybody's mind is when. But in my answer to the question I posed to Andrew, it's like when they release GESARA and all the information around that, there's going to be people walking around like chickens with their heads chopped off, because there's just so much evil that they need to learn as to why all this massive change is necessary and why it's happening.
And for those of you who are awake and are aware and not just watching this because you wanted to see a couple of idiots from the farm, it's going to be up to us. The people are going to look to us. The question's already out there. And I shared it last year as like, when you finally wake up to this, don't ask how I knew. Was it? No, don't ask how you didn't know. No, I can't even remember how that goes now.
Well, I know there's platforms out there that are already working together and putting together all these different humanitarian projects, and I'm in awe of the people that can think that far ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for me, and people that are, and part of, I guess, what I'd like to think in the community that gathers around us, that will know what we're, we'll have the right integrity to move forwards and do the right things.
Yep.
Because I don't doubt for 1 minute that if you're anywhere linked with us, that you're going to be associated with enormous amounts of wealth. And through GESARA and other sorts of the way that whole thing's going to play out. And so to me, it's like, well, first and foremost, yourself. We need to make sure that we are in our own conscious, loving state of mind and healthy, because unless we have that, we can't help anybody. Then comes our family, our immediate family. Then comes friends, and then comes our local communities around us. And so it's like, but picking a project, it's like, it's hard to say in the early days what those projects will be, but they will present themselves as we get out into the community and see what needs to be done. And we'll have the finances there to be able to help those communities to get back on their feet and to a point of being able to thrive. I think I'm not if anybody sort of watched Michael Tallinger, that movie we said go and watch last week, but he alludes to the types and the ways the communities can really thrive from that. Um, but like all of this is about getting GESARA out, and GESARA is basically getting all that gold that's been stolen from humanity for God knows how many years of what they had under the Vatican as any indication to go, well, that's just one hiding place that they had. There was multiple hiding places around the planet.
Yep.
So
And gold becomes really important too with the new QFS, because everything is all currencies are going back to, and Russia already did this earlier in the year, back to a gold backed currency. Well, it's not even gold backed; it'll be commodity backed. So that's equally important. I mean, it just yeah. Something else. I'm just going to go back to this and just finish off this little bit here
you
while we're
froze
here,
on me
guys,
there a little
because
bit.
then we're going to go back and have a look at something else.
Yeah.
Enables the release of new technologies such as alternative energy devices. Now, I can tell you, I've already experienced some of that through the scalar healing here on the Gold Coast, and that is one of the reasons why I'm almost back to 100% of I'm firing on pretty much all cylinders at the moment. That's got a big part of it. That kicked me back into good habits like journaling and meditating, and I can tell you the differences I've seen in the last 5 weeks. I've had a chronic pain in my backside for over 18 months. Like, it's been hard to get up, sit down. It just, yeah, really, really painful. I've had acupuncture on it for months and months and months, and it didn't seem to be doing anything. Probably stretching would help, but I think fascial stretching was how I damaged it in the first place. But since I've been doing that, and I've been going to bed, and I just had a conversation before we got on here with someone else. I've been going to bed each night, and even in my meditation each morning, I have a little mantra, and that is, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm wise, I'm healing. Those 4 things, but prefaced with I am. And the difference it is making is enormous. So don't ever discount the power of your word, written and spoken. Just amazing. But these devices that we just spoke about there, they're coming. And I've said it. If you've ever watched the movie Elysium, or if you haven't watched it, go and watch the movie Elysium. They call them by their names. They say, oh, yeah, on Elysium, they've got med beds.
Yeah.
It's in plain
There's
sight.
there's there's websites and videos and so much information out there about med beds and what they will be capable of doing. And I guess what I've kind of read along the lines of who's manufacturing or doing the work behind the med beds. Everybody can remember the company that brought film technology out, which was called Kodak. Well,
They
apparently Kodak has been retooled.
Sorry, I just want to share an irony with Kodak. They invented the digital camera.
Ooh.
was the digital camera that killed them because they're like, no, we're still making film. Sorry,
Yeah,
just a side note.
yeah, nah. But yeah, this. But if you think about, you know, as a human being, I think we're allowed to say human being or a being, but it's like,
We're not human doings.
but we naturally have the ability to try and make our life situation better, and so there's been probably thousands and thousands of different um, wonderful technologies that have been invented to make our lives better and easier that have been suppressed.
Yep.
And part of what GESARA is all about is bringing those technologies to the forefront. So you think about all of that. We're going to need people that work behind the scenes to construct and build this. They're going to need people to help fund to get all the materials and everything into place. So the world that's coming is really, really exciting when we get it back to where it should be, and technologically, for the if you just look at the combustion engine, we haven't got past that in over 100 years. Like, come on.
Yeah, well, that's because the dude that
There's
women invented the hydrogen one got killed.
mm, mm,
Not that, look, and here's the thing though, we haven't got past that, and yeah, there's probably better technologies out there. I don't think electricity is that, by the way. But let's not. I don't think we need to demonize women, the internal combustion engine, because it's not
oh,
the problem. We're not running out of resources because we know that oil's renewable. Climate change is a myth, and I've fully believe that. Every five of my being says, well, that's not correct. Can we do better for the environment? 100%, and I'll always say that. Are we doing the right things now? No, I don't. I don't think our wind turbines are the answer. I don't think solar's good. So I think solar's probably. Neil's going to say no, but I don't think wind turbines, and I don't think electric cars are going to save us if we actually need saving, which I don't think we do. I want your
well,
view on
yeah,
solar now that you
but
shook your head.
no, I think it's just the delay in the camera and the feed. I was probably nodding at something else. The For me though, you know, for me it's like there's free energy, and yeah, there's free energy from the sun and being able to tap into that.
Yep,
But there's free energy from 0 point, and
absolutely.
knowing how to get from that. And I think that was probably my entry into the rabbit hole back in 1995 when I got involved with some technology around trying to develop it towards free energy. If you imagine, and just in simple terms, if you had, we know magnets push and repel each other. So if you imagine you had three magnets that were kind of set up correctly, and then they all just sort of continuously spun because they were push, repel, push, repel, push, repel. It's like just as simple as that. And then you make it out of neodymium, which is the strongest magnetic rock on the planet, and then you put some copper coils around it, then you've got free energy, and it's simply from the pushing and pulling of the magnetic poles.
Yep.
So I mean, it's simple. Now, if you actually know the simple basics behind that, do you think that that's not been done? you know, it's like
Of
you
course.
don't need to be. So it's like when when everybody has access to that free energy, then but literally that's the world's a different place. Everybody's living in abundance right there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you just said it. Everyone's living in abundance right there, and that's one of the key reasons why it's been kept from us. Why they destroyed the
Mm,
history of Tartaria, because it had free energy. Yeah, you
mm,
see pictures there, and I don't know where these pictures come from, but they show the electricity. I mean, even if we think about Egypt for a second, we think about the pyramids. We were told, oh yeah, they were burial tombs and whatever. Um, if that's the case, and what we're led to believe is that they were essentially they weren't peasants, but they were underdeveloped, i.e., they used them in kerosene lamps and things like that. There's no soot in any of the tombs, so even candles are going to give something, right? But we're led to believe they used kerosene torches or torches that would have output soot. There's no soot in any of the tombs, and the reason is because they weren't what we've been told. They were electrical conductors, and Egypt was fully lit up with electricity over 4,000 years ago.
Oh,
Don't believe it? It's still
well,
true.
you just got to go back to the lost history of the was it lost history of the
Of the
flat
flat
Earth?
Earth.
That one, the first one. It's like, and you look at the cities that they had, that they were all running on free energy, and
Yeah.
it was all they knew the secrets of what's been held from us,
And
and
then
it's like,
fast
you
forward to
know,
the world fairs of the 1800s.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if you
yeah,
haven't
and
watched it
so
yet, guys, go and watch it because it explains all about the world fairs as well. And just to give you an insight, if you're unsure what I'm talking about, the world fairs, they happened all over the world, and they had these massive structures that were supposedly built for the world fair, and then totally destroyed afterwards. I don't buy the story. There's no way that, and uh, without anyone seeing the construction that would have gone on for months and months and months because of the size of these freaking things, and then just destroyed afterwards. I don't buy it at all. At all. Nope. No,
uh,
sir.
so I mean, this is this and all the things that we're talking about are coming back. This is what GESARA is all about.
Yep.
Is bringing all this stuff back to the world that we should be living in.
Yep.
And they can't do that while these other people are here. We got to get rid of them.
Yep.
As Paul's going, well, what are they going to do with all the used solar panels and wind turbines? Well, there's probably a use for them. Well, the wind turbines only have a certain shelf life before the blades wear out. And that's the biggest problem with them. They are made out of fiberglass, and when they run out, they rust, and the fiberglass blades. So the towers themselves are made of steel, so they rust. So they're not going to last long anyway. They're going to rot down into the earth. It'll take a couple of 100 years to do that, I suppose, if at all. And then you've got the blades, which are made of fiberglass. That they have to bury them. You'll see photographs of them burying. They bulldoze out a whole bunch of dirt, and they bury these blades because there's nothing else they can do with them. They have to make more. So that's where the salt might come in one day if they're still going to use wind turbines. But there won't be the need to, not with the new type of energy that's coming.
That's just it. They don't need to. They don't need to. It's there. Tesla proved it. It's there in the earth.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what the Tesla Tower is all about.
Oh yeah, that's coming. Hey, so let's have a quick chat with we're like, oh, we only got like 20 minutes left.
Holy cow, where did that go?
I know, right? So guys, I'm going to share this video real quick. Just you can find it on Twitter, but let me know if you can hear this.
Is China stock?
Can you hear that, Neil?
I can hear it loud and clear.
Okay, cool.
Piling gold?
So let me start
Well,
again.
it seems. Is China stockpiling gold? Well, it seems like that, as the World Gold Council has reported a sharp rise in gold purchases by the central banks around the world. The Council's November report states that central banks bought over 399 tons of gold between July and September this year. The latest amount.
399 tons of gold. They're stockpiling gold. Why are they stockpiling gold? Well, here's the answer. Hold on, that's the wrong page. Here's the answer, guys. Right here. The quantum financial system. And basically, this document, if you guys go and find this document, and Neil put the link up in there before, it will tell you everything that you need to know about what we're talking about. And it talks about the Bretton Woods 3 agreement and all that sort of thing. So basically, the banks now, come back here for a second, the banks now must hold under the new financial system, the quantum financial system, that is in effect in a lot of countries already. And if you've seen things going on in your banks, they've been closed because they're upgrading systems. Yeah, they are. They're going to the new quantum financial system. But under the new Bretton Woods 3 agreement, they have to actually hold a certain amount of gold on reserve. So they can't lend. They've got to have a certain amount there before they can lend it. And if they don't meet that threshold, those banks go away. Bye. So you're going to see a lot of banks close. I don't think Combank will be one of them. Combank, in fact, is leading the way. They've already said they're going to use XRP for their settlements. And they've already, I think, they were starting the 21st of November, and it was going to be completed by November 2023. So, no, to November 2025. So it's going to they're taking that long to bring it up. But guys, it's there, and they've got to have gold on hand.
I go back to and when you're talking about in with gold and what that's all about, and gold in its physical form is totally is impractical to use as a form of exchange, because you just can't carry it around with you. It's too risky. So the question that came up earlier on from this guy, Target 3, whoever that is, crypto, question mark, this is poor advice. Well, yes, it's poor advice if this is what GESARA is all about. This is what the new digital world and digital technology with blockchains and all that sort of stuff is all about. That's been happening since probably in the 90s. They've been starting to develop this. So there are probably, and if you're not aware, they're already saying that over 95% of all cryptocurrencies are going to go. And they have to go because there's nothing tangible backing them. So the ones that are going to stay are the ones that will be the new platforms that we will be able to move gold currency, but in a digital form that has the legitimacy of an honest system that supports it, so that you can't lie to the system, you can't cheat. It's what the quantum, Andrew alluded to it before about the consciousness. It knows whether you're a person of integrity, or whether you and what you intend to do with whatever you're going to move this asset from A to B with.
Yep.
So
and the blockchain aids in that.
Oh, that's the blockchain is the main is the core, the crux of what it happens and how it happens. And there's so much other stuff that will come off of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and Paul's just said asset-backed tokens. So let's have a look at the quantum financial system. It says right there, the project protects from corruption, usury, and banking manipulations. Now, I touched on usury before. That's interest, guys. That's having to pay interest. And by the way, that's a system that can never, ever be repaid. And it's that way by nature. And that's why 100% of all fiat currencies throughout time have failed. Is because you get to a point where it cannot be repaid. It just doesn't happen. Ensures monitoring of banks to ensure the process of financial transfer of capital, i.e. that's why they've got to have gold and stuff behind them, backing what they're saying. Otherwise, they'll fall over. Independence from existing centralized systems. Yay! The other systems will be obsolete. Asset-backed. Let me rephrase. Asset-backed. QFS is not a cryptocurrency. It's an asset-backed digital currency. It is cryptographically, obviously, that what you need to understand about cryptography or cryptocurrency is that it's simply saying that it's a cryptographically designed currency. So you can't fake it. You can't fudge it. That's what we're going out there. Digital identification given a digital number of other monetary systems. Okay, you can see that there. And sovereign currency of a specific country. So that is where we're talking about the CBDCs. It'll be the treasuries that, not the central banks. It'll be the treasuries that distribute the CBDCs. Now, we've got a really unique opportunity, not financial advice, but we have a really unique opportunity right now in knowing where we are. Now, I saw a video this morning. You could go and it was the digital asset investor. Go and have a watch of him. You'll see that video that I just showed you from China, or from the Indians talking about China. But in that video, he talked about a chart. And why is no one talking about XLM? Why are we not seeing XLM in any of the paper or any of the media? Why are they not being taken to court by the SEC like XRP are? Well, the reason being is because they're not. I won't say they're one and the same because they're not. But they're built on the exact same technology. We've spoken about it before. They're the two tokens that can be used in the new messaging system, XLM and XRP. XLM has probably got a bigger upside right now, potentially got a bigger upside than XRP, because you can get it for 8 cents. Again, not financial advice. That's just what it's sitting at today. But they're talking about in the very near future, and you can go and see the charts of a 2,300 and something percent return or a 29,000% return. So it'll either go to around $2.30, and another prediction is up to $29. Now I just did the math on 40,000 tokens before. That'll give you over $1 million if it goes to $29. You can get it for 8 cents right now.
There's
Hello? Like that's not even, that's just about $2,000 worth US. Again, not financial advice, but I'll tell you what, there's opportunity right there. I believe. Carry on, Neil.
The thing is that the thing is like you've got to do your own research, you know, and you've got to know where to, you know, if you just research Bitcoin, it doesn't take much to see there's Bitcoin is nothing there. There's nothing backing it. It has no real use case.
There's no utility, none.
But so when you look at XRP and XLM, and you actually look at all the ISO 222 tokens, that they all fit into this new quantum financial system to help it basically flow, so that you and I can have easy access to liquidity whenever we need it, wherever we need it, you know, whether there's power or not. You know, I've seen them make a transaction, I think an XRP transaction with no power. Just like, bang, it still functions. And of course, the energy to make that transaction is minimal.
Yep.
You know, so if you think about, and a post you put on Facebook, was it yesterday or the day before, about the $50 note.
Yeah.
You know, the $50 note, basically go and pay that and go pay that. It's like, if you do it with the digital thing, with the digital cards, there's a fee. There's a transaction fee. So by the time you've got around the block, that $50 is worth, what was it, $5 or was it 40? Was it worth bugger all?
Yeah, the bank had $45
so
of it, and you had $5.
Yeah, and so that's, I guess, what's coming is the elimination of the banks, because we don't need them anymore.
Well, and we can go one step further than that. You know, there will be the elimination of the banks, but what will the smart people, the savvy people that can see where this is going, and I've given you really massive hints today and on our last shows, where I believe it's going, my opinion. You always got to put that in there, that little disclaimer. Disclaimer, not available, only a chemist. So anyway, where was I going? Yeah, where we're going, there won't be the need for banks. Initially, in the interim, there will be, and they'll still be there. And they have infrastructure, okay? So they're useful. That's what we need to remember. And so they may have some form, but they're not going to be in the same form that we know. So if we think about XLM just by itself, stellar lumens, they're talking about, they are there for the unbanked or the underbanked. So what did I see the other day? It was XLM is primed to be used by 8 billion people. Now, that was actually something they wrote in one of their documents. Well, what do you know? We just ticked over 8 billion people in the world just a couple of weeks ago. Oh, shit. Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence. But take it that step further. We will have the savvy people who understand where we were going here, will be able to become the banks. So if you're holding, then let's take XRP for an example, and we're kind of getting a little bit off a track, but we're not really, because XRP and XLM are they're definitely a part of the QFS, so we're not really off track. If we take
GESARA,
100%. So if we think about people giving good advice in there, Sam saying don't leave your money on the exchange, your tokens on the exchange. Nanny saying no keys, no coins, never leave exchange. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If you know, you know, 100%. I'm with you on that. Well, remind me, I've got to show you that video because it's really cool. We'll finish up with it when we finish here. Let's take XRP for just by itself. There's 100 billion XRP tokens total. That's it. There'll never be any more, and they're already burning that total, right? With every transaction, they burn XRP. So that means there's a diminishing amount of XRP, which obviously raises scarcity. If you go, okay, well, 100 billion tokens, cool. There's only 50 billion tokens that are in that's in a what's the word I'm looking for? Escrow account. They got 50 billion tokens in an escrow account. Now that'll start to be sent out to the banks. Now if we think about and financial institutions, not just the banks, XRP is slated that it's going to be used for international settlements, right? So what does that mean? It means that any transactions XRP will between banks and international settlements overnight, etc., that used to take 3 or 4 days will now be done in a matter of seconds through XRP. So that means if we put the remaining, even if they got all of the remaining 50 billion tokens, which they won't, but let's say they got all the 50 billion tokens, it's got to go out to over 2,000. I think it's more than that. I think it's like 200,000, but let's just say 2,000 for argument's sake. It's got to go out to 2,000 financial institutions. So if they each got an equal supply, which they won't because it'll depend on the volume that they do, then all of a sudden you can start to see the price of what XRP could be worth. It's got to be able to settle the amount of money that they do. Now, let's just take the Bank of England. I think it was the Bank of England does nearly $1 trillion a day in settlement. How much does an XRP need to be worth for that to happen? Now, take it back to a step what I was saying before. XRP will be similar, except that it'll be for, XRM will be similar, but it'll be for the people. The people will be able to do this. If you're still holding XRP, if you're still allowed to hold XRP, you'll be able to stake it so that the banks can use it. If you're staking it and the banks are using it, then you're not staking it for nothing. You're getting an income from it. This is now where we need to start thinking. Again, not financial advice, but this is how the financially free, the wealthy people have done it for years. They've had their money work for them. They're not going out looking for a job. And if they did start with a job, that's great. They got that income and they put it into something that was going to produce more income for them. Wink and Grow Rich by Roger Hamilton is a really good book to read if you want to go and get a bit more of a handle on that. Not XRP specifically, but how the rich get their money to work for them. Wink and Grow Rich by Roger Hamilton.
What's coming out of our lips here is nothing new. It's not hidden. It's all there in plain sight.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing. Everything we've said, even though it's our opinion, you can go and read about it in documents. It's already been documented. Go and look up quantum.gov. Quantum.gov. Go and check it out. You can't have a .gov unless you're an official government department. Quantum.gov. Go and check it out. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all
off.
over the place.
Huh?
No, it's all right. It's all over the place, and there's most people that are in the crypto space, and I think most of them are gambling because they have absolutely no idea what they hold. They're just going on a bit of FOMO. They see it going up on the charts, and they're in buying, and they're looking to make it. It's sure as a trader, and if you want to sit there 24/7 and pick the peaks and troughs and learn how to do all that, you can make a buck. But ultimately, the buck that you're making is off the person that's gambling, who has no friggin' idea what they're doing, and that person has got a job, and he's instead of putting it, he's gambling in there because he's trying to get a better life for himself because his life fucking sucks right now.
I was about to say that. Yeah, you summed it up perfectly. I was going to say, if you're winning money, someone's losing it.
Yeah. And it's just like, so, yeah, but all the knowledge is there. And I guess, like, the pain of all that, I think GESARA will relieve that, will move that pain away.
I believe
so that we don't need to do all that stuff. We can put our energy to more or to better technologies, not trying to chase a buck anymore.
Yeah.
You take that out, wow, how much other stuff we're going to be able to focus on.
100%. Hey, we're close to the bottom of the hour again, so I'm going to share this video with everyone real quick. Just have a watch of this. I'll try and turn this down and see if it's not too loud. But
That's good.
See what that is? That first one.
Yeah, that.
They might
One,
be
two,
freighting ships
three,
because
four,
the ports are closed
five,
here in Australia.
6,
But
7,
the
8,
first
9,
one,
10. Look at that
that
big
one there,
beast out there.
that looks very much like
And
an
there's a
aircraft
lot.
carrier to me.
Woohoo.
Australia doesn't
Is
have
that
aircraft
big?
carriers
Bring it
anymore.
on.
Eh?
That
I
big
can't
thing there
actually
looks like
see
an
a
island.
damn thing.
No, that in the middle.
Am I
It's
doing anything here?
Yeah, aircraft carrier.
That's
what I think it looks like.
I don't know what I'm looking at because
Could
I
be a
can't
big
see
container
because I'm
ship, I
looking
guess,
directly
but
into the
It
sun.
looks like an aircraft carrier.
But there are a lot of ships out there.
So your children able to help you with the rent?
So, yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Didn't so Andrew, didn't what happened last Friday? Did the ports get shut down through the strike?
yep.
Did
Indefinitely.
that happen?
Indefinitely. It did happen, yeah. It
So,
happened. I believe
so
it's
is
all
that
part
what
of...
those build up of ships is?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of them could be freighters, but that one looked suspiciously like like an aircraft carrier. So, yeah,
Well, Captain Kyle does a lot in following all the military movements
yeah.
around the planet. And Dave, is it David? Was it David Johnson? Johnson, the guy we listened to yesterday.
Yes, yeah, yep. Derek
he's
Johnson.
military, and Derek, and he's right on top of military movement and
Yep.
the amount of military activity globally around the world right now is off the charts. So I don't know. Fingers crossed, we're getting close to hearing what GESARA is all about officially through the official channel.
Yeah, well, I just got something through the John F. Kennedy channel. It's very interesting. But to answer a couple of these questions, Kathy, it was in the Sunshine Coast, and Sam, what I said was that I believe that their big one was an aircraft carrier. It certainly looked like an aircraft carrier. And the other ones, they could be naval vessels, but they could be freighters too because the ports are closed. They're locked down. So there's a specific contractor. I think they said it affected 17 ports in Australia. So 17, it's a good number, that one. Go and look up what number of the alphabet that is. But I'll share this real quick just so people can see it if I get the right, hold on, let me get in here, get the right button, see if you can see this. So Intel update, military running the show in Ukraine, deep state military is running the show in the Ukraine. Private military mercenaries all for hire, over 10,000, fighting in dark covert war for the cabal. Now, guys, we've said this before. What we believe is going on in the Ukraine is this is it. They're cutting off the head of the snake. Now, if you look back at the ancestral home of the Khazarians and what's now known as the Khazarian Mafia, the Ukraine was part of that. It was south of Russia. And it was the Tsars that said, you guys need to change your murderous ways. You need to change it because they openly worshipped Satan at that time. And they said, no, you guys, this isn't good. They stole names, they murdered, they raped, they pillaged their way right across Europe and ended up in Germany at one stage. That's where the Ashkenazi Nazi. Yeah, just
Their tentacles go right around the planet, right across the planet. Sorry.
Paul, there is a website for tracking military movements, but I don't know it off the top of my head. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, we'll find that. Try and put that up there somewhere. And I guess some other news, and I saw that the New Zealand Prime Minister Horst Features Ardern is partnering with Bill Gates for digital. What am I grateful for? Wow, perfect timing, Andrew. Just bring that up perfectly every day. It's like to actually be sharing today with a nice little interactive audience. It's really cool. I can see how many we've got on the show here. I don't know how many's watching us live on Facebook, and the fact that we're still going. We're on our 4th show now, and they haven't taken us down.
No, that's good. It's exactly great. Keep it up.
That's another sign that that the powers that be, that they're happy for us to do what we're doing. So maybe the good guys
and actually,
are
I noticed
control.
that
hopefully, fingers crossed, which means we're getting a bit closer.
Yep, and I noticed Died Suddenly is on YouTube, so that's telling. That's telling right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
so it is past the bottom of the hour. We will wrap this up here, but guys, if you got value out of this, please, again, we thought we've been shadow banned, and I still think we are. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We Neil and I had a discussion before we come on here. We're going to start putting other content on there as well that's not live, but we'll go over the things. We'll talk about the executive orders, just give brief rundowns and things like that, and things as they come up, because shit comes up every day. So we'll try and post there a little bit more regularly so you guys see it. The link for the Telegram group, if you're not already in that, is available in the description of this. So make sure you go and grab that, join the Telegram chat. But please like and subscribe. Get this out there if you're getting value. If you think we're entertaining or whatever, or if you think it's information people need, then by all means, please share it. We've loved being here with you today, as always. Love being here with you, Neil. I tell you, man, some magic happening in the world, that is absolutely for a fact.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm just happy to be able to spend some quality time with you and have a good little chin wag, and have other people little ears in on what we're doing, and know that we're but everything's happening as it's meant to happen, as it's unfolding, and I just kind of got a good feeling, that we're close to lots of good things happening or being announced. So
me too, man. Me too.
Yep.
And particularly after, and I might have to drop it in the comments later on today, because I've got to go out now. But that video that we watched, ended up being 3 hours long, wasn't it? But some of the information that comes through that with Derek Johnson and SG and on that you were just talking about is just freaking phenomenal, guys. Hold the line. Exciting things are happening.
Yeah, we and a note too, we may have a special guest next week. We'll just work on through with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that.
So
that's
I'm
one you won't want to miss. You want to tell everyone
chat
about that, actually, guys. Definitely want to tell everyone about that, particularly if you're New Zealand or Australia. But anyway, been a pleasure being here with you. We'll be here same bat time, same bat channel next week. That's 11:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 14:30 New Zealand Daylight Savings Time. I think it's 9:30 in the US, 9:30 p.m. yesterday. You guys are so yesterday. But we love you all the same. That's where my sister is.
Yes, we're all family.
But we'll be back next week. But definitely keep your eye on the channel, because we'll probably drop more stuff during the week as well. Oh, and for those that were at all curious, I started writing my next book, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I'll keep you posted on that as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
See you later, guys. Love you all.
Bye.
Take care.
See yous.